we are live according to YouTube. So welcome to the guitar collection. I have 3 amazing guitars to show you today that are brand new. None of them are on the site. None of them have videos yet. So I'm so excited to share these with you. I am curious how my audio and video is today because I did tweak a couple of settings, which I definitely can go back on if there is something strange about that. But let me first say that if you are watching this in the future, after this live stream is ended, then don't forget there are timestamps. So you can click around or go to the description, or you'll see the chapters at the bottom of the video where you scroll to different parts in the video, and you can select which part of the video you want to listen to. Which is important so you don't hear me ramble for a few minutes here in the beginning. But treating this somewhat like a podcast, I'll give you guys some updates. I am, here in Austin, Texas. It's a cloudy day out here today. Monday through Wednesday are my teaching days, so these days are fairly busy. But I just got back from London and Brighton, United Kingdom, and had a really nice time. I visited a 19th century guitar collector who I filmed an interview with, and I still have to edit. And I also picked up some amazing guitars, tried a bunch of amazing guitars, and enjoyed some good food as well. And the highlight was Lebanese food. It was amazing. Amazing in London. Oh my gosh, look, everyone's tuning in. Cool. All right, we've got Javier in from Mexico City. Robert, good morning. Jose, what's up? Jose here is holding a super special guitar that he just bought, a Greg Smallman guitar. Leo, good to see you. How you doing? You're in San Francisco area, right? Everything sounds good, loud and clear out here in LA. What's up, Don? Good to see you. Great. You know, in my streaming program, I set it to 4K, and I didn't know if that was going to overload my internet connection or if it was going to be grainy. I don't think you'll be able to view this in 4K before or after, but I have a hunch that it'll be better quality when I get back the saved footage here, or maybe when it posts to YouTube. Glad it's loud and clear. You know, I actually had to lower the volumes on the microphones because the 3 instruments I have here are extremely loud, louder than any other guitars, honestly. So I'm excited to share them with you. And I thought this is a very special episode for me because this channel now has 2,000 and something subscribers, just past that last night. I can't tell you how fulfilling it has been for me to have you guys, so many people watching these videos and sharing this passion with me of guitars. I mean, this is something that I have sort of always loved and always loved nerding out about guitars with people, and what a cool thing this has become. So 2,000 subscribers. I think we had 500 or 600 new subscribers in the past month. So it's growing like crazy, and I'm just so happy about this. So I thought, why not bring out 3 of the most special guitars to share with you? And in a minute here, I suppose enough people have joined, and I'll start presenting these guitars to you. But for those that are here early, just look at this thing. Is this not the most beautiful guitar you've ever seen? A friend of mine said that he didn't like how orangey the top was, but personally, this is something I really like. I like the dark chocolatey tops, and you know, I'm in natural light and my studio lighting here. It looks more orange than it would if it was just, you know, if I was just practicing in here or this was in your room or something. Maybe when I tilt it at this angle, it's more of like what it actually looks like, but I think it's stunning. It reminds me of some of the tint that Friedrich would put on his finishes. I have this 1994, or I don't have it. I had a 1994 that looks like the color of this top, very similar at least, which you can see on my website, and I made a video which I quite like. I think the recording came out nicely. Well, okay. I see lots of people tuned in here. I'm happy that everything's coming through. Let's get started. What do you think? So today I am sharing with you 3 of the most special guitars that I've seen recently. As a celebration for 2,000 subscribers here on YouTube, as silly and small of a number as that is, it's very meaningful. I know it's 2,000 of you who are fellow nerds like me. And we will begin today with the first guitar that I will present to you. This guitar is made by Jakob Lebisch, and he is a German luthier based in Frankfurt, Offenbach area of Germany, and he is making some of the most sought after, I would say like in the top 3 or 4 most sought after guitars in the entire world right now. His waitlist is a real more than 10-year waitlist. And the second I played one of his guitars, I definitely understood why. But also just seeing the high quality photos of these guitars online, I knew there was something about them special, something refined. I mean, not just about, of course, the sound, but like I'm saying, the aesthetics. I mean, there's this minimalist design that I'm just so keen on. It's beautiful to me. You know, I'll share with you some closer up images to the camera here. But the rosette has this ebony circle with these almost like star-like dots in them. Take a look. I'll let it focus away from my face. But can you see how beautiful that rosette is? And it's subtle too. It's not so flashy, but it strikes this really beautiful mixture between eye-catching and something that's distinctive, but also minimal. You know, it's not over the top, and this is something I am crazy about. I think it's like the hardest thing to achieve when building a guitar, trying to create a name for yourself. That same rosette design you can see inlaid here on the bridge. Take a look at that. You see that one little star, I'll call it. And then it's also on the headstock of this guitar, right here. So I'll get that a little bit closer to the camera, and I have to be very, very careful. It's treacherous over here. Now this guitar, a little bit more about what Jakob does. He makes double top guitars. This is a Cedar double top, and it is as light as a feather. Now, what guitars this kind of remind me of? Someone like Michel Bruck or Carsten Cobb's. It's very, very, very similar. It is extremely lightweight, maybe 12 to 1,300 grams. It is extremely loud and extremely clear. The dynamic range, because of the volume and the weight of it and everything, is insane. You can play extremely quiet, you can play extremely loud, and it's something truly, truly special. It's incredible. It has this very dark top to it. As I was saying at the very beginning of the stream, the top here has a tint to it. And what process he goes through to get that, I'm not sure. If he's just using some sort of stain or tint, or if he is baking the wood. I'm really not sure, but it's an incredibly beautiful top. And while its appearance is quite orangey with the studio lighting here, I'm trying to move it at some different angles so that you can see. It is certainly not as orangey under natural light. So we have to hear how this thing sounds. And I'm going to keep a close eye on the mixer here so that I am not peaking it. And I've yet to figure out a good way to apply a limiter in Streamlabs here. But I'll figure it out. You have to take a listen to this thing. Oh, great. Of course it's out of tune. I had it in drop D and G here. Listen to this. there is such a shimmer to the sound that is very, very intoxicating, and this depth to it. In fact, the main body resonance is E. 2nd fret right now because I'm in drop D. So it is a very low main air resonance, which it's something that I really like, I have to be honest. And it usually comes with big drawbacks, like certain notes being super short on sustain, but you get great ease on this guitar, and I'm in drop D, so you're not getting that sympathetic. You're getting the 5th string one, but it's really quite a nice 1st string. And it just has this harrowing sound to it. Gosh, can you hear that over the stream? Can you hear that sustain and just how it keeps on rattling out of the guitar? It's really nice. And I have to say, I have to take a moment here to put a polish cloth behind me because this guitar is in pristine condition. It was actually just touched up, repolished a little bit by Jakob Lebisch in his workshop, so it's in perfect condition. And I am just so excited to get to know this guitar. I wanted to point out some other characteristics that are particularly odd about this guitar. One is, and this is something I can't show you, unless one time I do this live stream in a completely dark room, is that the top, the in-between layers, is actually balsa. And this is one of those weird cedar tops, or even spruce tops, that you can a lot of times see it because it's so thin, where you can see, where you can't see the balsa strips. Now, when you hear balsa strips for a double top, those of you that are familiar, you might think of like what Antonius Mueller does, right? With the balsa strips that are in this chevroning pattern that go like this. You know, it's at an angle. These balsa strips go straight up and down, and there's dozens and dozens of them that are extremely small in between the 2 layers of top. And actually, in the right light, you can see it. It's not the chevroning, and it's not as visually obstructing, I would say. All right, you can see my setup and the lights back there, but if you catch it in the right light, you will actually see little thin lines that you might, at first, if I didn't tell you, by the way, that it was a double top with the balsa going, you know, in a straight line underneath, you might guess that you're just seeing wood grain, which is exactly why it's aesthetically really appealing. You don't look at it and think, oh, that's another layer of top. You just think it's wood grain or something in the finish. And so that is really interesting. I've never seen a double top like that, actually. Now, old Matthias Dahmen double tops did have cedar braces that were not quite as thin and not as plentiful as these. But other than that, I've never seen it. So it's very interesting getting to know a different type of guitar that's an alien in some ways. And truthfully, what I've heard about Jakob is that he does a lot of things quite different. And this is one of the things that make his guitars extremely desirable. He's sort of breaking the mold. How does that sound? Is this as amazing as it is from behind the guitar? I'm gonna have to keep on tuning the guitar here because I got this guitar in yesterday. So, by the way, it does take a couple of days for double tops to sound their greatest. And this morning I woke up and I was like, oh my gosh, this thing sounds even better. Now that it's up to tune. But I changed the top 3 strings yesterday because they just weren't to my preference. And one of them was really scratched up. So, listen to this. Whoa. Now I have to tune again. Unfortunately, I'm still out of tune. And that was the consequence I knew I would have from changing the strings. But we're well used to that, aren't we? Yeah, it's got this deep sound and it's so unbelievably loud. In fact, I'm really tempted to push it a little too hard. Uncharacteristic to the music, I mean. And stick around because next up we have a Greg Smallman guitar from 1998. The last year that Greg Smallman was the only one on the label before he added his sons. Really, really nice guitar. And a Robert Ruck, which is the best Ruck that I have played. It's from 1982, and it's a totally traditional guitar that almost competes with these in volume. I'm not going to say it's as loud as a Smallman and a Lebisch, but it is as loud as many double tops and louder than many double tops. I have to tell you that. It's totally traditional. So, and totally traditional, yes, cedar top, not spruce, but totally traditional bracing. Not this one, I'm talking about one that's coming up. This is a double top for sure. What do you guys think? It's one of those really touchy, resonant guitars that you move your hand just a little bit. And you get this whole world of colors. So it really gets you experimenting. I mean, this fleshy sound too on the 6th string. You feel the whole guitar pumping. When you do this, the whole guitar is shaking like it's going to break. Really. Wow. Oh my gosh. Well, I have to get to the next guitar. Every now and then I forget I'm streaming, and then I just keep on playing the guitar. So this was a guitar by Jakob Lebisch, an incredibly loud, resonant, responsive, and beautiful looking instrument from Frankfurt, Germany. One of the most up and coming, important double top makers today, who has an extremely long wait list. So this is a super rare guitar. If you're interested in it, please let me know. Please write to me. Right now I'm a little busy getting to know this guitar, and I want to make some videos of it and some recordings on it. But who knows, it may end up being for sale, and I'd be happy to talk with you about it. Let's set this one to the side because something extremely special is coming. And perhaps equally or more rare. Here is the next guitar that I'm going to present to you here. This is a 1998 Greg Smallman guitar. Of course, Greg Smallman is known as the Loudest guitar maker, the guitar that John Williams has played for all of these years. That is, of course, what Greg Smallman is known for. Extremely loud, extremely beautiful sounding, and responsive guitars. And as John Williams says, it's all the gradations and tones and volumes that create this beautiful palette of colors that these are capable of, and dynamic range that these are capable of. And you'll see tomorrow, I had here, I no longer have it here, but I had a 2023 Greg Smallman guitar that also exhibit a lot of these characteristics that the video is going live for tomorrow on the page. So be sure to look at that. I was really happy with how that guitar sounded. And here I have perhaps even more rare Greg Smallman guitar, because this one, as I was saying, is from the year 1998, and it is the very last year that it is just Greg Smallman on the label. So before he started putting Smallman and Sons, Damon and Kim on the label. Now, this guitar obviously has been played. If you can see it here in full quality, you can see that it has been played. There's lots of marks in the finish. There's Raschiato marks here near the rosette, but there are no cracks and no repairs and no repolishes on this guitar. And it has had one owner its entire life. And the person who owned this guitar bought it under the suggestion of Greg Smallman. So not Greg Smallman, under the suggestion of John Williams, who said, you should buy one of these guitars. Or potentially he said, you should buy this exact one. So one owner from 1998. It is an incredible instrument. And I have to say, as far as Smallmans go, it is incredibly natural and woody sounding. You don't get a lot of the nasal characteristics. And that's something that really excites me, because that can be a drawback to Smallman guitars sometimes. Well, before I actually show you more on this guitar, I have to say the case that you see behind me is the original case. Now, I'm going to try not to ruin any guitars by scooting this around. I'm not going to bring it up here with me. Well, shoot, should I? Let me show you. Let me see if I can grab this case and not destroy an instrument in the process or bump anything. This case, for those case nerds out there, and I know there are a few, this case right here was built by Greg Smallman, and he used to build these with his guitars. And I mean, can you tell how big this is? This is not a normal case. It looks like, oh, maybe it's his lens that's making things look bigger. No, it is a giant case. I mean, it's probably 8 or 9 inches wide. So any guitar will fit inside this darn thing. And it's actually made of some beautiful woods, is it not? Looks like flamed maple. This can't be maple. I doubt he would use maple, but something flamed. Any wood experts out there want to tell me? It looks like flamed maple, doesn't it? It's actually pretty beautiful. But it's a giant case. I'll turn around and you can see what it looks. There's nothing special on the inside. It's not like it's some red velour or something. But it is an incredibly padded and protective case. And there's even weatherproofing going on here because it fits. Oh, no, maybe that's not weatherproofing. It just fits very nicely. It closes very nicely. And there's lots of padding and it's very thick. So while you may not want to carry this around on a backpack strap, it is pretty darn cool that it's the original case and it's a very strong one. How are you guys doing? Are you all still there? I have a feeling I'm not getting any chats coming in, even though there's quite a few people watching. There hasn't been so many comments, so hopefully I'm seeing the chat. Sometimes I know it malfunctions. So I showed you the case of this Smallman guitar from 1998. Now take a look at this. Take a look at that iconic Smallman rosette. Isn't that gorgeous? It's hard to make it pop as much as it should, but in your lap you would see those red rings on the outside. It just pops. It's really amazing. This small bridge, small lightweight bridge, and then we actually have Madagascar rosewood on the back and sides, which is really quite nice. Of course, the classic Greg Smallman headstock here. And now, without further ado, we will have to listen to this guitar, right? I was in drop D and G before this. This was also a mistake. So there is a little bit more of a weight. Keeping a close eye on the mixer here to make sure I'm not peaking the microphone. I am actually. And while the Greg Smallman's design is so aimed at pushing the sound outwards and bouncing the guitar off of the back of the guitar and just going straight into the top, you feel this whole thing resonate. And I gotta imagine that a lot of the newer guitars, over many years, that will happen as well. But my gosh, this whole guitar, I mean, you feel it against your chest. And actually, a lot of these Australian guitars that are in the style of Greg Smallman, you don't feel that. Like, you feel very separated from the sound. I mean, I have to say this is one of the most special instruments I've played. It gives you superpowers, honestly. And it'll make you play things slower, just like I always say, a lot of great guitars make you feel like you want to play slower. But it's a type of guitar, you play a chord and you just want to keep on listening to it. You're not like, oh, it's starting to sound bad now, let's move on to the next note. Just listen to this, you know? Oh, I buzzed the note, so okay. And you still hear so much of that F sharp, right? have to say, this is also one of those guitars that as I play it throughout the morning, it wakes up a little bit. And I've played it a little bit today, and I think that's why it's sounding so nice right now. But when I first pick up the guitar, it's a little moody. It's like the strings feel separated from the sound. It's not so nice. It doesn't feel like everything's together on the guitar. Like now when I'm playing it, maybe it's that some air's pumped through the guitar. It feels very, what's the word for it? Malleable. Like the top just feels like it's breathing, you know? What do you guys honestly think? I have to say something about these Smallman guitars, and this Smallman in particular, is that sometimes when I'm playing close to something, like I'm close to this big screen that I have, a really giant screen in front of me that's maybe 4 feet away, and then there's a wall behind that. Sometimes when I'm this close to it, and maybe from your perspective in the microphones, I feel like what I'm calling that I'm in the, I feel like I'm in the splash zone of the guitar. Like it's shouting at me from that close. But if I were to turn around and play to this room, which is a small room, and it's probably only 10 feet back to the wall there. But when I turn around, everything sounds normal. It sounds like a really natural, normal Spanish guitar. So, you know, when these people say that these guitars are meant for the hall, they really are, but they're also great in any decent sized room. I would just say it may not sound as great if you're right up against a wall, because that sound is like bouncing right back at you at such a high volume. You know, when a guitar's quieter, it doesn't bounce off the wall quite as strong and whack you, you know? Oh, John Jackson says, "What's up, Evan?" Oh, hi, Javier. He says, "I'm here. Of course, I have many things to say, but I restrain myself." Hey, fire away, Javier. John Jackson says, "Sorry if you've already answered this, but how is the playability? Does it compare with Friedrich or Boucher?" Wow. Well, this is very, 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 very different from Friedrich or Boucher. This is a very modern sounding guitar. Friedrich and Boucher are really great traditional makers of the French school. This is an Australian lattice brace guitar. Not fan braced in the slightest. I personally, this is a personal opinion, I do not find Friedrich guitars to be particularly easy to play in the left hand. Now, lots of other things about the guitar makes it easy, the sustain, all of these things, and actually this one from the 60s that I have, from 1968, this is a particularly playable Friedrich because it has a little bit more rounded of a neck, and it's not quite as thick as the newer ones. I don't personally find those to be easy guitar. Like out of all the modern guitars I have and traditional guitars here, Friedrich is not among the easiest left hand necks to play. Of course, I'm saying for my hand, for other people, this is very different. So this is why I often don't say my own personal preferences, because it differs so much person to person. In fact, sometimes I'll be talking to luthiers and I'll just be expressing my opinion that the neck is very uncomfortable for me or whatever the case is. And they say, "Well, I just had these 3 guitarists over and they're studying in this place and won these competitions and they find it extremely comfortable." And I say, "Yeah, well, what am I supposed to do?" Like that's just how it is. Some people find different necks comfortable. So, you know, when one person talks about the comfort of the neck, whether it's me or anyone else, you have to kind of take that with a grain of salt because it's not always true. Now, about the playability of this neck, it is extremely comfortable. It is not a super thin neck. Like I have, the Lebisch isn't that way either, but there's a lot of other guitars, Steve Walter's guitars that you guys just saw a review of. These are very thin C-shaped necks. This is C-shaped, but it's not thin. It is very comfortable though, and the action is very low. I adjusted a little bit, made the action really nice and low, and it's feeling great. And And I have to say, one huge benefit of this lattice brace design, and keep in mind, this is who created lattice brace guitars. This is Greg Smallman in his prime. One amazing quality about them that lends itself to really great playability is just how every note everywhere on the neck is so consistent. I mean, the sustain is consistent, so your hands don't feel like they're doing extra work in order to make it sound the way it should. You know, this, I'm not needing to like shake out a ton of vibrato in order for me to make you notice that F sharp is there. And then it just so naturally pops out of the guitar in an accompaniment, it being quiet. All right, let me show you how it sounds with this Barrios piece, Confession. This is why I wasn't tuned down. Javier S, does the sound of Lebisch guitars, is the sound of Lebisch guitars similar to Tolt's or to Bruck? Definitely closer to the Bruck sound, not Tolt's sound. And that it's super, super loud. And extremely unforgivingly clear. Okay, so let's see if I'm in tune now. Yeah, listen to this, a little bit of Confession by Barrios. Isn't that nice? I just love this. It's just so chimey too. Wow. The responsiveness, the overtones. Even those two notes, G sharp and E, perfectly in tune. So nice. Wow. Hope you guys are enjoying this. John Jackson says, beautiful. Yeah, this is a dreamboat of a guitar. And it is unfortunate that there aren't more that are exactly like this. This is from 1998. Still Greg Smallman. You can see on the label there. It's just Greg Smallman on the label. And these are so increasingly hard to find. I've never, before just like a week ago, really, I never owned a Smallman, although I've played many, and it's so cool to really get to know one intimately. Hi, okay, TYS Wong, yeah, sound playability compared to a Simon Marty guitar. Oh, that's interesting. You know, yeah, they're both Australian makers, both making super loud guitars, fairly heavy guitars as well. I have a Simon Marty Spruce right behind me in one of these. You know, it's tough. I sort of hate to compare those two makers. They both have their own really nice characteristics, both extremely clear. But I have to say, in terms of just making a really special, deep, dark sound, Smallmans are so incredibly good at this. Huge dynamic range. Oh, there you go, Jose. Sounds darker than a Marty to me. Yeah, it's a little bit darker, that's right. Listen to that first string, right? Very similar playabilities, I would say. Let's play a little bit of Sevilla. But I don't know. I'm going to take it easy with volume because I think I'll peak the microphones here. This is weird. I'm having to do all sorts of silly musical things so that I don't peak the microphones too much, but there's a little bit of Sevilla by Albani's. Let's see if I turn. And just so responsive to playing over the fingerboard with flesh. Gosh, I mean, when you make that sound on a guitar, it feels like the guitar is like 5 times as big, and you're like, who's hit a timpani before, or a bass drum with a mallet? You feel like you're just hitting something that's so large, right? It's unbelievable. Yeah, that's what it feels like to me, like you're hitting a timpani. Boom. Let me tune up to something closer to standard. Sorry if some of this is crummy because I'm peaking the mics. By next stream, I'll figure out how to put a limiter on this so that I don't peak anything when I want to play loudly. That's all I can play of that, otherwise I'll be demonetized. Well, I will leave this little first look of this 1998 Greg Smallman at that. It is a magical guitar that I think it is very possible have a spiritual experience on, like I was just kind of having. It's, gosh, it's a lot of fun. I mean, there's even something to be said about, well, I should stop, right? But there's something to be said about those dissonants sounding so good. I mean, that is amazing, right? You know what it is? It's that you hear both tones through all the mess. I mean, this open D string is giant. It's just giant, giant, giant. And then in comparison, this E is going to be really hard on most guitars to get as loud as this D and make them both run parallel as far as volume. Like, they might both spike when you pluck the note, but then they both ride it out. Listen to that. Oh, and I played on the fret. Let's do it again. And you hear both of the tones, right? Wow. You know, it reminds me of like when you hear a bass in the back of like a chorus and they're just going, oh, you know, making this, I am not a low voice at all, but just making this growl from the back. That's just haunting. So rich. Okay, I'll leave it there and I'll go to the last guitar of the day. This has been a 1998 Greg Smallman guitar in really beautiful condition despite its many years of play. And by the way, all of these little protectors for your nails are installed on every Greg Smallman guitar since I believe the late 80s. Something they do to make sure you don't damage the instrument. And finally, this one might be shorter because I really have to cut this at noon here, my time. Maybe I'll go a few minutes past. But lastly, but not least, I have one of the most exciting, if not my favorite, I'll say kind of like modern traditional guitar that I've played as of recently. And this is by, of course, the very famous American maker who's now passed, Robert Ruck. This one I stumbled across. It's from the year 1982, and it has a cedar top, totally traditional guitar, fan braces that are actually fairly parallel with the strings here. They're not fanned out, but fairly parallel. I believe 7 of them. And the back and sides, a spectacular set of Brazilian rosewood, which of course, as always, will be so difficult to see in this light. But it is in fact Brazilian rosewood. And this guitar is a beast. Now, you know, I've been playing, this is the title of this live stream, is the loudest of 3 styles, right? We just played a Lebisch, a Smallman, so maybe one of the loudest double tops, certainly the loudest lattice brace instrument. And now we are on what has been for me, I believe, the loudest traditional guitar, totally traditional guitar. From the year 1982. No cracks, by the way. No cracks. And that's surprising for a set of Brazilian, which with this age of Brazilian, a lot of times there are cracks. So this was a very well taken care of guitar. And let me get this thing in tune, and you just have to hear it. It is so open sounding. So check this out. strikes me about this Robert Ruck's guitar, and maybe this is a factor of it having so much volume, is its dynamic range. I mean, you can play so quiet and so loud on this guitar. Listen to that again, right? I'm gonna barely play this. Now you're gonna think that maybe just that E pops out. No, it's not. I mean, I can play that quieter. You hear that? You can really choose what note you want to bring out, and that's so nice. Isn't that nice? Whoa, it's nice. Now, you know, maybe you're noticing a big volume disparity between this and those insanely other loud guitars, but trust me, it has plenty of volume. No one, and I mean no one, will pick up this guitar unless they really don't know their stuff and they say, oh, this thing's quiet. It's not. It really likes to be driven loudly too. I'm getting close to picking the microphones on this too. It's a really incredible sound. And by the way, before I finish here, I see there are lots of people watching, at least more than I'm used to noticing here. So say hello if you haven't yet. Let me know where you're watching from. It's always so interesting to me. It's a rainy day here in Austin, Texas. And this morning I spent drinking coffee, playing some guitar, getting to know these different instruments and sort of think what I was going to say about them. And also preparing a video to go out tomorrow, which will be released at like 8 a.m. Central Time tomorrow. So it's been a guitar-filled morning, and I will leave here shortly, but I wanted to say hello to everyone and see who all was here. If you feel like commenting, I know some of you are, you know, sitting at home and not really wanting to type or watching from a non-signed-in account, but let me put this thing in drop D. Gosh, I can't leave without showing you that. That's one of the richest sounds that I've ever heard. Sorry, I'm peeking the microphones there. Hopefully it doesn't sound like total trash. But you know what I really love is that when you really hit traditional guitars hard, you get this like crunchier, brighter, crisper sound that like gives you this a little bit of flamenco excitement, no? I mean, yeah, it's unreplaceable, I think. That's all for copyright reasons. Let's see, it'll probably still flag me. Wow. Oh my gosh. This is a very, very intoxicating guitar to play. Oh my gosh, listen, look at everyone saying hello here. Well, let me go back up and read your comments here. If, by the way, I'll be finishing this stream in just a little bit. I need to run here. Not literally. I do need to run today, but it's raining right now. Ken says, beautiful sound of bass. Oh, he's talking about the Smallman. Ken, yeah. Smallman is really bouncy. It's a credible guitar. Yeah, Javier says the Ruck has a very beautiful sound. Aficionado Lure Company, I love that name. Hello from Vancouver. Awesome. Vancouver, Washington. And TY from Mountain View, California. Wow, McLeod here from Edinburgh, Scotland. Oh, still have not been to Scotland. John says, watching in Florida. Great, where at in Florida? I'm from Tampa. And went to school in Tallahassee. Thanks for an amazing demonstration answering my question. I'll have to come visit later in the year to hear some of your collection in person. Absolutely. Would love to have you here, John. I do appointments here, so you take some time and try out some great guitars. Gregor Hansen from Sweden. Hey, thanks so much. I'm glad you're enjoying. Wow, from Sweden. Jeez. What's the scale of the Ruck 650? Great question. It is 655. I had to measure it. I wasn't sure. It's 655 and it's a bit wider of a nut as Rucks were at this time, but still very, very comfortable to play. Low action. There's room to go even lower. I don't know if I'd go any lower. It feels pretty good. It's set up pretty ideal for me. Maybe I could file off a millimeter and go down a half millimeter lower. Man, these trebles, I mean, for how deep and dark the basses are, the trebles are fantastic. Wow. Okay, I'm going to have to leave it there on that note. And I'll finish by saying none of the three guitars I showed today, whether it's this Robert Ruck, Cedar Brazilian, totally traditional, braced, this Greg Smallman, 1998 Cedar lattice brace with Madagascar, Amazon Rosewood. It might be Amazon Rosewood back inside, so I have to check. Or one of the most rare double tops in the world, this Feather Light Jakob Lebisch guitar, which if you join late, you might want to rewind and listen to this beauty. Oh my God. Anyways, whether it's any of those three guitars that I have held today and played for you, none of the three are on the website yet. None of the three have a video. This is the first time anyone's heard these. It's the sounds from these guitars. So if you are at the slightest bit interested in any of them, please write to me. I can let you know what it's going for. I can answer any questions that you might have about it. And if not, no worries. Of course, it's really fun just to chat about these guitars, to show them to you, and to record a little snippet. Full videos will come of each of these guitars in the next, gosh, I hope I have all of these done by 2 weeks, but they may not all release in 2 weeks because I've got quite a backlog going on right now. So thank you all so much for watching. It's really fun to read all of your comments, hear your thoughts about the guitars. Definitely reach out if you're interested in any of the three. Hey, if any of you are watching and haven't hit subscribe, hit subscribe. We're at 2,000 plus subscribers now. And gosh, this is really fun that so many people are watching and enjoying and following along from all over the world. So you guys play some guitar now. Don't drive yourself crazy about different instruments. Enjoy it. Learn some new music. Do some sight reading. Do your scales. And I will see you in the next video tomorrow morning. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.